Hey everyone, Dex here. Today's the big one. We're talking about the purple armor set, so the legendary armor set for the Solstice event. This one's long. We recorded for about 7 or so hours and condensed it down into this nice short, sort of short video. So how we're going to lay this out is we're going to go through the process as I do it and talk about it. So first off, I started with EAZ. The reason why I started with EAZ is it's simple. You just have to get some orbs and some kills. So I got kind of lucky on the runs. I got a few of the kills I needed for the enemy types. So I needed to get hive kills, so I ended up getting a few runs where I got hive kills, so I kind of doubled down on those. During these, you can focus on getting a lot of your like ability kills and any weapon kills. So right now we were using Void auto rifle because we needed to get Void kills. So we kind of focus on trying to get as many things done as we could. Doing this, you don't really want to, I don't really say you don't want to, but focusing a lot of the bosses on this, just running over to the boss, killing them, running away, isn't the play. You want to focus on getting the kills. So this one area that I tended to go to off the start always had about 6 to 8 hive in it, and then you can start going to the middle to get a bunch more kills. Now the other teammates, they may be doing the same thing, or they might be farming bosses, but you know, every now and then if you go towards the bosses, there's usually a group of enemies there and you can kind of work on taking them out at the same time. Again, a lot of this stuff for the Solstice event revolves around you using elemental weapons and getting elemental orbs. So using an equipped subclass is going to give you an orb, but then in addition to that, killing an enemy with a damage type weapon is also going to drop you an orb in that damage type. So using a gun that is your primary for this event isn't really the play. You want to get as many orbs as possible because you need to get a total of like 2,000 elemental final blows. So working on those is definitely the key. So basically for these runs, you just want to keep rotating around, looking for a bunch of the ads as you can. You can use your Sparrow in here. I didn't use it as much in these first few runs because I was kind of just trying to find a few enemies that were roaming around, low-level guys that I could kill pretty easily, generating as many orbs as possible. So the reason I started with EAZ is it kind of gives you a way to do a little bit of farming at the beginning, but when you get into the later armor sets, so if you do your second character and your third character, it actually goes way faster, and this step only takes one run to get it done on your second and third character. So just getting into the habit of doing it the same way every time makes the grind go a little bit faster. So one thing I really want to point out in here is when you're doing your second and third characters, you want to focus these crystals. They're in different locations all over the map. Shooting them is going to drop 5 of the elemental orbs for that day. Now, if you're on your second or third character, you're getting the multiplier attached to that. So instead of 5 orbs, you're actually picking up 10 orbs, or you're picking up 15 orbs per pickup. So keep that in mind when farming these. You want to focus those crystals and get those knocked out as quick as possible. So getting over here to where another one usually spawns almost every time, and we get another set of orbs. Now really early into one of the runs, I actually finished off one of the 2 of the requirements. So I got the elemental kills inside, and I also got the requirement for kills total. So I actually leave this one a little early, and I mean, to be honest, it's okay because the event is pretty, there's a few people cycling through the event, so people are going to jump in and out depending on who's spawning in. So leaving isn't necessarily the worst, kind of, especially if you only have 3 ads finished. So next, what we move on to now is you're going to want to start with your patrols. Now, each one has a different location for patrol. On Warlock, it is Titan. The reason I say patrol would be best to do second is you can again start doubling down on a lot of the things. You can work on your elemental kills, your weapon kills if you didn't get those done in EAZ. Everything that's kind of in there. You can get some of your enemy type kills depending on where you are in location. Since I'm on Titan, I can still get hive kills by doing some of the events. Also, you can jump in on public events. So what I do here is I load in. I see that there is an event going. It doesn't matter if it's a regular public event or the contact public event. What you're going to want to do is drive over, get into the event by shooting something, and then go pick up your patrol. The reason for that is if there's enough people there doing the public event, they're probably going to complete the heroic essentially for you. But when you grab, depending on where you are and what you pick up for a patrol mission, you could probably get that done during the public event at the same time. So you want to be a little bit more efficient on getting these done. So pick up the event, then go get your patrol, go back to the event if you need to. And they're pretty simple. Just start doing patrols, get them done, jump in on public events whenever you can. So here I finish off the last one, and we got the final public event finished. Sorry, not public event, patrol. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually leaving this location because sticking around on Titan when it's contact isn't necessarily that great because the public events aren't spawning regularly. It's always going to be contact. And as much fun as contact is, sometimes you don't get anybody to show up and you can't turn it heroic as easy. So what I'm going to do is I actually recommend going to Nessus. Nessus has a lot of areas and a lot of public events that spawn in the area. Big fan favorite is the public event at Artifact's Edge. So the public events, the heroic public events can be done anywhere. You don't have to stay on any designated planet. You can jump around as much as you want. But again, I find Nessus is a bit better for public events. A lot of them are really easy. You can do most of them solo. The Vex one's a little frustrating, but it is possible. And a lot of people are running around doing public events right now. Nessus is pretty popular, so being on Nessus is a good idea to get these done. Again, working on getting elemental kills, boss kills. You're actually going to be getting boss kills by doing these events as well. Just like when we were doing contact public events, we were getting boss kills and doing the EAZ. But the EAZ, you only get one, so the mini bosses don't count. Only the main bosses count at the end. So it's not as efficient farming in EAZ unless you're going for Solstice packages. So again, same situation here. We jump in. If the public event was on, I would have shot it right away, so I got in. It wasn't, so we just run up to it, click the activity, and get in grinding those the rest of what we were missing for our heroic public events. So with these public events, if you want to get through this a little bit quicker, try and focus the boss as soon as possible, especially this one, because it's super simple. The Valis comes out in the same location every time. He always teleports behind the rock here, and you can just kind of go ham and take him out. I ended up doing Artifact's Edge quite a bit in this run, just because it comes up fairly regularly during it, and there is kind of a little bit of a cheese you can do to get these done a little bit quicker. We'll take a look at here in a minute. Because I'm leveling, I am sticking around to grab the chest because I want to keep increasing my power. Normally, I wouldn't stick around. I usually would just fast travel, and you'll see that here in one of the next ones. So looking at where the next one is, I would just go to Exodus because it's the next public event up. Now, there is something you can do with these public events, and it's called doubling down. So if you're fast enough and you have a team that's efficiently killing the boss, especially here at Artifact's Edge, we're going to kill this Valis right now. What you want to do is jump up. You can grab your chest or leave it. Once it says heroic event complete, you have the count on the heroic event. What you want to do is fast travel back to the same location again. So here I'll pull the chest and I'm fast traveling immediately. And what happens is it'll pull you into either the same instance or a new one. So in the first fast travel here, I actually go to the same location I was at before, the same event. So you see I recognize one of the names. And I fast travel again. Now with this one I actually get really lucky. I load back into another instance that just spawned the boss on the Heroic Public event. So what this does is this allows me, within the span of a few seconds, get 2 Heroic Public events in the time it would have taken for me to load into a different location, rally the flag, and then have to wait or, you know, fight another boss. So this works. You have to be pretty quick about it, and you need to have a team that's like killing the Valuses very quickly. It is better to do this solo, loading in with a team. When you fast travel, you're always going to fast travel back to their instance. So this is best done solo. So you can see I actually got the final Heroic Public event done at the same location in Artifact's Edge. So ended up there quite a bit. Like I said, it spawns up pretty often. In addition to that, you know, we're still leveling, getting some loot out of this. We got a lot of the bosses done as well doing this. So again, we're not focused grinding specifically for bosses or specifically for these. We want to try and double down as many things as possible to make it less grindy. It's still a grind. Like I said, it took about 6 hours to get this done. Next, we load into strikes. So with strikes, you need to get 600 kills with a subclass matching the burn for the day. And in addition to that, you need to generate a certain amount of orbs. Mine was solar orbs, and I actually did this specifically when it was solar day. The reason for that is teammates. So if Titans in that have a different orb they have to generate during strikes, they're going to be using those weapons. But in addition to that, they still need to get kills with the matching subclass. Now, I say be a little bit picky here and look at your teammates and what they're doing. In addition to that, watch the strike. So Exodus Crash, not the favorite strike in the community. I'm going to jump in and look and see, but I noticed right away that these guys are generating void orbs and arc orbs. So since none of them are really generating a lot of solar orbs, there's kind of no reason for me to stay in this mission. I want to get as many as possible. So I actually re-queue. In addition to that, the strike is really long. While there's a lot of ads in it, I wouldn't mind having a faster strike. So by the time we get to the point where there's not a lot of ads running around, if you're running this solo in a team, you can literally just spawn onto one of them and kind of farm it out, go into a lost sector, whatever, if you so wish. Me, I was like, let's just do some strikes. We'll get some loot as we're going because we're leveling anyway. But I wanted to get strikes specifically that I could get through in the and still get that boss kill. Some of my favorites would be Lake of Shadows, really quick, but a lot of things to kill along the way, and you can generate quite a bit of orbs as you're moving through those missions. In addition to that, Tree of Probabilities, again, those 2 strikes can be done in around 5 minutes if you're moving quickly enough, and your team is just zooming through. Now, those are mostly when you're doing, you know, kind of those speedrun strats, but in general, they don't take very long, and there is a lot of ads to kill on the way in. So here I did get tree probs, and I did farm the start a little bit. The teammates did as well, so it wasn't that bad just to hang out and get some kills going. So you can see here, we're just generating as many solar orbs as possible right at the beginning. So this is how you get through a lot of those grindy portions of this quickly, is by picking and choosing what you're running and where you're doing it. So like I said, be picky on your strikes. Get that stuff done so you can move on to probably the most grindy section of the entire thing. So the reason I'm using Drang in this is it's actually one of the only solar weapons I had. So I ended up having to use it. Here, I actually got it done right before the end of the strike, and we were so close, instead of leaving, I decided why not, we'll get another boss kill added to the list. Since we're moving on to Gambit after this, having an extra boss kill is fine, because then I don't have to worry about as much like shooting some of the primevals at the end there, and I can maybe invade and get some more solar kills. So not a big deal. Still generating orbs as we go. So again, Ward of Nothing, great strike. The boss dies very quickly. You can get through a lot of the mechanics without having to do the whole grindy sections of it. It is a little bit long, but again, it's one of those long strikes with an easy boss, but a ton of adds in the middle to get you a lot of elemental orbs. So don't overlook Ward of Nothing when it pops up.
I just wanted to help one of my favorite guardians out. Guy can't do that? I thought this was a new golden age. Be kind to each other.
So next, we move on to Gambit. Gambit, Gambit, Gambit. So 10 Gambit matches. Doesn't seem like much, but it really does. The reasons for that is you can get your completions in Gambit Prime, but Gambit Prime does not, at this time anyway, did not generate elemental orbs. So with that, you're not really getting anything done other than the games. You still have to go and grind out like 1,000, depending on how quickly you were getting orbs, elemental orbs somewhere. So doing Wrangler Gambit gives you the reason to do that. What I was running for these, and I recommend this if you're a Titan or a Warlock. Hunter's a little bit harder to do, but possible. You want to run an Arc subclass with Risk Runner. Risk Runner is that exotic we got early on as a free-to-play. Fantastic gun. Always go get that gun. You're going to self-damage with a grenade, and then just start absolutely slaying out everything around you. So here we self-damage, and just start shooting everything, just chaining arc lightning everywhere to anything in the area. What this does is it's going to generate you tons of orbs on every kill, and you're going to get through the ads faster, so you can maybe even win your games and make some progress on it if you have any Gambit quests to work on. So me and one of the guys that kept invading were having a little battle. I decided I was going to try out using a grenade launcher on them because I was lower power than all of them to try and get a few kills when I invaded. As you'll see here, it did not go as planned. It actually took way too many shots to even come close to killing this guy because of the power deficit I was under. You can see here, 1, 2, 3 shots, still not dead. I ended up having to melee him for the end, and I gave him a little bit of respect kneels there for that. So in that situation, not being able to get a lot of solar kills while invading, if you were on a non-free-to-play account and you had something like Whisper, I can get Whisper, but I didn't have it at the time, Xenophage or something like that, you can get your solar kills done a lot better, but all I had was the Drang and a grenade launcher. So I decided to give PvP a shot, just to break up all of the Gambit I'd been doing, because I'd been doing a few rounds already, and I decided to do a little bit of PvP. I'm still going to get elemental orbs in here. In addition to that, I actually was doing really well with Drang as the sidearm, so I was still getting my solar kills against Guardians. In addition to that, Fellwinter's Lie is a really popular shotgun right now, and it is solar based, so a lot of people are running that, as well as the Beloved Sniper, so your teammates can actually help you with that. Here, as the weekly drop, we actually got a tractor cannon. While this doesn't really relate to the video itself as part of the armor set, getting the boop or the tractor cannon is huge for this account. So I was really happy about that. It's great in PvP, fantastic in PvE, and it actually opens a lot of doors for some of the endgame content we want to get. So I was pretty excited about that, but guess where we need to go now? Back to Gambit. The Gambit section of this probably took the longest in all. So again, here what I'm working on as we do this is I'm getting my arc super kills. Remember, I said you can do that in PvE or PvP. You want to just get as many kills as possible with the arc, and you'll see I actually finish it off there getting my kills. And of course, Risk Runner. So here was the finale, getting my 10 games done on this account and moving on to handing it in. That whole process was sitting around 6-7 hours to get everything done, Gambit being the longest section. I did realize I didn't finish the gauntlets. I still had some elemental orbs to do, and I think I only needed about 30 of them. So what I decided to do was load into Trossland using trusty old Risk Runner against some Fallen, and just go on a little bit of a rampage, gathering as many orbs as I could. So now that our set's done, that took only a few minutes to get those orbs done. We're gonna head back, equip the items, and meditate it out to get our final set. So like the bonus video pointed out, the armor set for Solstice going from when we equipped all the blues brought us up to 1020 power. That was a huge boost for this account because prior to that, we were sitting at about 800, and then I did it on the alt characters, getting them all up to 720 from 755 by transferring weapons over from my main. Check out that video if you guys haven't. So we go and talk to old Eva quickly. She lets us know we need to go meditate. Or sorry, what did I not do here? Oh, there we go. It just was bugged out. When you meditate, it gives you your final magnificent set. What blew my mind was that it dropped at 1050, which is the actual power cap for this season. So my account went from basically being 800 power and not endgame all the way to full endgame power in around 7 hours total, which is absolutely amazing. So what I did then was just do a little bit of min-maxing on some stuff. I went and saw Zur. He was there. I had enough shards to pull, as you saw in one of the previous episodes. We pulled Zur last week. This is the week later. Last week got an Arbalist. This week, little bit of a surprise. I was kind of hoping for something else like an armor piece, but beggars can't be choosers. We got a Jade Rabbit. Really fun scout rifle to use in PvP. Not as competitive depending on the map, but you know, we'll make do with what we've got. So in doing that, we got a power increase again because we're bringing those weapons now to our power by essentially doing some of the +0 vendoring. So this is the end. We have a little bit of a chat here just about what I thought of running this as a free-to-play account, and kind of, you know, if you wanted to get some more rolls on the armor, where you get those. If you want some of the additional rolls, so for say you have some of them, they're not great, the stats aren't super, what you want to do is go to your Solstice packages and just start handing those in. By the time you finish this, you'll have enough keys. You don't need to go farm them. You're going to have enough keys. So you're just going to want to hand them in, start spamming those packages, and get a bunch of loot. Now, as you're doing this, if you were just like me, all of those weapons are going to start slowly increasing until you start bringing up your power level. So make sure you keep checking them out. Don't just delete the blues right away. You want to see what their power level's like. So you see that one's an increase. We're going to equip it. You don't have to equip it, but I tend to do that just because I want to see what the power level's looking like. So just keep doing that, deleting the old ones as you go. Keep handing in the packages and getting more rolls on the armor. I would recommend, if you're looking for an armor set, if you do this all the way to this point on a free-to-play account and you want an armor set that's going to last a year, farm out some of those Solstice packages and maybe even go back into EAZ and do a bunch of runs just focusing on getting kills and then pulling the chest at the end to get those Solstice packages. Keep handing them in, getting more rolls on armor. I got some really good ones on my main account that I was blown away by, some 66 base rolls, fantastic pieces, and those are going to be staying for quite a long time. In addition to that, it does drop some umbrals every now and then. That's not a big deal because we can actually use those umbrals to hand in. On free-to-plays, you can only do the 3 weekly free hand-ins. You can't use the materials or anything to hand in. It's locked out after that, those first 3 free ones you get. So you have to go and do them either with a season pass or just wait and hand them in later. I didn't care. I handed them in anyway just because I want some different weapons. So you can just spam them at the recaster and actually just get random items back from them, including exotics every now and then, even though I haven't had one drop for a couple weeks on either account. So a little disappointing there. One of the critiques I have regarding this event is it did say on the timeline that it was a free event for all players. But when you get to the final steps on these armor pieces, some of them are actually locked out. The reason for that is because they're actually locked behind Shadowkeep's DLC. I was a little disappointed in that because it would have been really cool as a free-to-play account to get the quote-unquote free glow that you can achieve by finishing off these armor sets. So you can do, as a free-to-play, you can do the 7 Trials games and get the glow for, I think it's the boots. And then you can do the... there's one for the Nightfalls. So if you do the Ordeal on Master, the 1080, you can actually get the helmet glow. Beyond that, I do want to test in the next video. I'm going to do the Shadowkeep story mission we get for free, and then it's going to allow me to go down to the moon, and I'm going to go drive and see if I can't get into an altars and just shoot a boss. I don't know if it allows me to do that and get the completion that way. So you may or may not be able to get 3 glows. The downside is one of them is for Pit of Heresy. Now, Pit of Heresy is the dungeon that came with the Shadowkeep, but I believe that that one is locked behind the DLC, so you can't actually achieve that one on a free-to-play account. So that was slightly disappointing, because I was really hoping that once I got to this step, I'd actually just be able to go and get them done, and then I remembered that Pit of Heresy was that. I would have liked to have seen them maybe just do a dungeon requirement, complete any of the Destiny dungeons, because what that would do is it would allow you, if you had Forsaken, you could go do the Forsaken dungeon. If you didn't and you were free to play, you could go do Prophecy. Or if you had Shadowkeep and you enjoy Pit of Heresy, you can just get Pit of Heresy done. So a little disappointed in that. They also had one for Nightmare Hunts, which again, I believe is locked behind the Shadowkeep DLC. So that actually locks you out of, I believe, 2 to 3 different glows, which on an account and a grind that took me over 6-7 hours to do, it's kind of a bit of a kick to not let us roll this armor out and see it to its final majestic end. So that would be one critique I would have. I think all in all, the modifier, or sorry, the multiplier that you get after you complete the sets was fantastic. I wouldn't probably have done the armor sets if I had to do the original run every single time on my main account. So I thought that was fantastic. They did a great job with that. One more thing too is if you are doing these and you want to get all 3 sets done, do not complete the final steps. So doing the Pit of Heresy and all of those on your characters until all of them are at that step. It does not retroactively count. You have to do them all at the same time. So if you have all of your characters on that step, you will be able to do the Pit of Heresy once and it will count for all of your characters. If you did Pit of Heresy on your, let's say your Warlock, and then got the Majestic set up to that point on your Titan, it would not count. You would have to do it again. This is for Trials, this is for the Nightmare Hunt, this is for the Altars, all of it. You have to do it all at one go and then it'll complete account wide. The downside is that it wasn't account based, so it doesn't retroactively complete when you get to the next step. So unfortunately, that was one part. Another part that I was kind of disappointed in, that it didn't just allow you to retroactively. Last season, if you had one of the steps completed before, it retroactively completed it after you grabbed the set and went to orbit. That would have been kind of nice, but I understand why getting people to go and replay, but it would have been nice if it did account for the later sets you acquired, because, you know, people really weren't warned about that. But all in all, the grind was fun. My main account, we did it with a friend, and we kind of just messed around doing Gambit in our first few runs, and it was a lot of fun. So I didn't think it was that bad. It's a bit long for some people. I know doing that much Gambit or even getting 100 Guardian kills with solar weapons is a bit frustrating, but really a lot of the weapons being used right now that are really good in PvP are solar based. So, you know, your Felwinter's Lie, your Beloved. So it's not that bad considering that those were team based versions that you need to do. So keep that in mind. If you can team up with a group, go and do it that way. It's a lot more efficient, especially if you're all on the same class. Me and my friend, when we did it, we were on the same class for almost every step. We did all 3 armor sets together, and we got it done really quickly because we were always kind of doing the same thing. Now, any other tricks and tips that I can think of? Really just look ahead and see what you have to do if you're going to be grinding any of these out the remainder. Like I said, as you get to the multiplier, it goes way faster, and you guys don't have to stress it enough, so keep that in mind. In doing this, you're going to get a lot of loot, so if you are free to play jumping in previously to this and you're like, I don't know if I'm going to do it, it is great. You get a lot of loot, handing a lot of stuff in, playing all that Gambit. You get a lot of umbrals, a lot of different loot drops as you're playing through the game, and I ended up being able to pull Xur without really stressing it, which was really nice because getting his engram helps, you know, move my account forward in the exotic range because there's quite a few to acquire via his engram. So keep that in mind. Getting a lot of the loot is beneficial. See, I'm just handing in stuff right now, getting different weapons that are improvements on previous ones. So next coming up, we are actually going to be doing, like I said, we're going to do the Shadowkeep main story mission, get that out of the way so we can actually go down to the moon and have a look around there. After this, I've had a lot of requests to do a build crafting video. Now, that video is actually quite large. So what I planned on doing was doing the Shadowkeep campaign mission, doing an advanced dim episode where we talk about some new features and other things that you can do in dim to help you now that you have some of those pesky loot items or armor sets sitting around. Then we're going to do Outbreak Perfected and then probably the build crafting video, but we'll see if that order changes as we go. So thank you guys so much for hanging out and watching the video. If you've enjoyed the content, please smash the living shit out of the like button, subscribe for future content, drop by when we're live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Dexivil. Thank you very much. Have a good grind. We'll see you in the next one.